Hi, this is Zach Meir with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Thursday, the 14th of August. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which is obviously delighting in that rising trend channel there from April. Floor of the channel currently around 91.20, let's say to be safe, and looking around end-of-day close through 9200, the record high zone, to give us 9400 by the end of next month. Obviously, might even get that by the end of this month if something very special happens regarding Russia-Ukraine. On the downside, hoping that the initial August support around 90.27 would be definitely the worst case scenario on the downside. Even worse would be a return to the 50-day line there at 89.48, but which we haven't actually been below since the beginning of May, which must be something of a record, at least in the recent past. But basically looking for the 91.20 area to hold and up to 9400 over the near term. RSI at 64, so not overbought after recent gains. Moving along to the DAX, and here trying very hard to break that resistance line there from last month. It's around the 24,300 level now, so you want to break that and head up to the top of the channel as high as 25,400 by the end of this month, which might be pushing it, and obviously looking for that at least by the end of next month. On the downside, we've got the 50-day line there, which is supporting this market well, 23,900. So that's a support area. Worst case at this stage, a test of back down to 23,000 would be required. RSI's bounced at neutral 50, so we already have a leading indicator on the upside that suggests that we will break the 24,300 level either today or tomorrow. Moving on to the Dow, and here it's been a bit messy. Obviously messy because we've got the record high levels to try and break 45,000. End of day close above 45,000, and we're looking for as high as 47,500. We were looking for that by the end of next month, but actually with the multiple bounces there near RSI 50 for this market, could actually get it a bit sooner than that. So maybe over the next 2 to 4 weeks rather than 4 to 6 weeks. But the market gapping through the resistance area, that tends to be a leading indicator on the upside in itself. So perhaps people getting excited about Russia, Ukraine there. Moving on to the cryptos, and starting off with Bitcoin, which briefly managed to get to a new high there, 124,500. We've already been looking for this market to get up to 132,000, perhaps by the end of this month as a best case scenario target on an end of day close through 121, which I suppose we managed to get yesterday. We closed at the 123,000 mark, so on track for a potential move to 132, at least while we're above the 121 level. Ideally, whatever happens, we can fall back below 115, which was the mid-July floor, and also is the area of the 50-day moving average and the price channel floor. So everything on 115, really above that, looking for 132. Ideally, we stay on the right side of 120. On to Ethereum, which is currently the star of the show, and in fact, you can see from a screenshot that I prepared earlier on, climbing on Bitmine Immersion Technologies, poised to significantly increase its holding in the token, and Bitmine already on the way in terms of doing that on stable coin favorability at the moment. But what you can see here is that we've got the market exceeding the second target that we had near term. The first one was the top of that rising trend channel from March, around 35.60. Second was 4,500, which we were hoping for by the end of this month. Obviously, we've got there ahead of time. And the third target in the near term is up to 5,600 now, which is the upper parallel of that second target. We were looking for that by the end of next month, but the way things are going, we might even get that by the end of this month. Ideally, we stay on the right side of 4,500, the previous target area, ahead of doing that. The rally started with an RSI 50 rebound, a clear one there when the market was around 3,400, and then there was a second one, which obviously propelled this market higher and higher. On the worst case at the moment, I suppose we've got to test the 4,000 area as new support, but it looks as though with the latest bull flag breakout, we are eyeing the upside. On to gold, which could be like Ethereum, but currently, unfortunately, isn't. But at least it is steady within or at or near the floor of that rising trend channel there from April. Floor of the channel there, 33.30. Still looking for 34.30 to break. That's the old April resistance line. And above that, looking for 3,800 6 weeks later, which at the moment would be by the end of next month. RSI sort of around that 50 level, so it is half full rather than half empty at the moment. And the other point to note is the way that we are bouncing well at that 50-day moving average at 33.49. Moving on to Bezant, and one of the first stock here, and here, nice ricochet for the shares. In fact, nice bounce for the shares above the rising 50-day, and that tends to be a leading indicator on the upside, and obviously has been in this case. We had the 0.045 area as a target previously, but obviously that's been exceeded, and currently looking for the resistance line there from back in May last year, as high as 0.06, well before the end of this month. Best case scenario target, a resistance line projection from early 2023, which is heading for 0.07. So maybe that's for the end of next month. But today's news, very strong in the sense the company is proposing to buy a processing plant, which you don't normally do unless you're expecting to process something, which is obviously normally good news. But upside here, valued while we're above initial August resistance at 0.042. On to Cobra, which has been a real highlight in the market over the recent past. I think the shares up 2x this year, and really looking for more. In fact, on this situation, the second target here around 2.1 pence, the third target looking for 4 pence by the end of this month. On to a stock which had quite a flurry in May, massive rally for this one, Defence Holdings, which really does sound like it's the right stock in the right area. Rising trend channel top here at 0.055. We had a little spike earlier on today, and we're still looking for that by the end of next month, while we remain above the floor of the channel there at 0.39. So hopefully Defence comes up with the goods. Also bounce back above the neutral 50 level. So hopefully after a little profit taking is out of the way, we'll head back towards 0.55 while we're above 0.39. On to the rug pull of the day and possibly the rug pull of the year. Stock that rather divided the market. What's interesting here is that, on a technical perspective, that before today's decline, which is 56% at the moment, we had the shares going down for 3 days beforehand, almost as if somebody was successfully guessing that there was going to be a bad or a negatively taken announcement today. The other point, which is even more painful, is that we had a bull trap. So bull trap through the June resistance around 6.25 pence. I suppose the close on the at the beginning of the week that suggested that we were in a bull trap was actually a warning that the shares were going down, as was the way that the 200-day line was falling. But obviously, all of that is rear view mirror stuff at the moment. We've broken the uptrend line from October. The obvious support is there from October at around 2.6 pence. We're below that, so end of the day close below that would be rather painful and suggest we need to go back to the sub 2 pence area over the near term before there's any recovery. Moving along to a stock which is heading in the other direction quite nicely, and it is Fiinu. Here, the shares basically behaving themselves from that break there around 8 pence, which was way back at the end of June. Current situation is that we've cleared the highs of the year around 14.75 pence and our previous target, and above that looking for as high as 23 pence by the end of next month. Took a long time, but finally made the day with the support above a rising 50-day line and the RSI 50, extended RSI 50 rebound that we had at the end of next month. So all the signals there, in fact, in the last week of July. Onto a stock which I hardly ever look at, which is Gaming Realms. And here the prospect of the shares bouncing off the floor of that rising trend channel from January. Top of the channel there at 63 pence, which we're looking for by the end of next month. on the basis that we have had, if we close above the gap from earlier in the month, 51 pence, we would have a gap close buy signal, and that would then open up 63 pence as a target. But the upside valid, at least while we're above the floor of the channel there, at 47 pence. On to Georgina, where every day without having a bit of mud thrown at it seems to be a good day. We haven't had any significant news here for 2 or 3 weeks, but the Hussar Well Management Plan was approved the middle of last month, so that kind of helped the cause. Current situation is that we're trying to bounce off this broadening triangle there, the support there towards 5 pence. Above that, we're looking for the 200-day line here at 7.5 pence by the end of next month. If you're cautious, which you might very well be, then an end of day close back above the neutral RSI level at 50 would be your first technical signal. On to the last two. The first one is Kodal, and here you can see that we've still got this multiple supports above a rising 50-day line. So I am expecting the shares to one day magically jump up to 0.48p, hopefully by the end of next month. And to do that while we're above the rising 50-day line. We've already had 3 RSI rebounds. In fact, you could say 6 even since last month, but 3 RSI rebounds so far this month at and above neutral 50. And that is a decent leading indicator on the upside. Finishing off with Shield Therapeutics, and here the shares inching towards the top of that rising trend channel, which is there from the early summer of last year, 6.75 pence. Looking for that by the end of this month, if we're lucky, while we're above 4.5 pence, which is recent support for the shares. That's it from me today. More updates tomorrow.